How can you not make mistakes in your business? Let me know in the comments. You don't have to buy my belief, but I believe that the only way not to fail is not to try. Meaning, there is no way for you not to get the painful experience because this is a learning experience. When you make mistakes along the way, when you're growing your business, you're actually learning something new and implementing the way to change it. And there are a lot of ways you can really react to your mistakes, to your failures. And today I want to cover 3 the most common reactions entrepreneurs have when they make mistakes and what are the impact they have on the business growth and the personal growth of the person. Let's get right into it. The first way to react to failures is quit. Now, I assume you're not that kind of person, but you probably know someone from your friends, from your relatives, from your network, that someday, some of the time, they started an entrepreneurial journey, they started a business, maybe a brick and mortar business, maybe a digital one. And something happened along the way, they failed, and as a result, they quit. Now, what are the benefits of quitting? Well, of course, it makes you feel like an ease, right? You don't have to do anything anymore because that's it, you've tried, right? But that's it, that's the only positive part of it. The negative side of things is you never learn a lesson. Meaning, if you fail and you quit, you don't have learning, you don't have the outcomes that you can implement and improve. That's the biggest drawback, is that when something happens in your business, let's say you're trying a new strategy, right? We're not speaking tactics, like a funnels, we're speaking strategy. Let's say you decide to up-level your personal brand. Let's say you decide to actually go there, maybe record YouTube videos, maybe do LinkedIn posting, whatever you want to do. And for some reason you fail. Maybe you don't have enough traction that you expected, right? Or maybe you cannot, you miss your timelines for videos. This is a failure, and what most people do, which is quite normal, is they just say, yeah, I just cannot do this, right? And quitting is actually accepting your failure, which is not what the true entrepreneur is about. The second way to react to a failure is try again and repeat the process. Now, obviously this sounds pretty straightforward, right? You try something once, it's not working, you try another one. Now it's pretty simple because it doesn't give you too much of a headache on restructuring something. You just, let's say you tried a new strategy of reach out, right? And it didn't work, and you might say, maybe it's not enough data and I'll try again. And you try until it works. Now, it's still decent, right? The problem is you're probably still not learning too much out of it because let's be honest here, right, for a second. You cannot do something exactly the same way and expect a different outcome. Meaning, when one person is successful at something, at doing a particular thing, skill in business, another one isn't, if they keep doing the same things, they do what they do and they do what they do, chances are nothing is really going to change much because the environment outside is constantly changing, right? And it's something different about that person that actually moves the needle from the person that just tries over and over again. The third way, what I find is to be the most effective and profound way of reaction to failures is getting a step back, looking at the situation, learning about it, changing something, changing your strategy, changing your approach, and then only applying. You see, the problem with this approach, it's a hell of a lengthy approach. It takes a lot of focus. Let me just give you a very particular example. Let's say I'm trying a new strategy of outreach. I want to connect with a particular group of people, and I send hundreds of outreaches, and my conversion rate is like 0.1%. What I can do is I can say, let's repeat the process, let's 10x the efforts. I can get to 1% maybe, right? Instead of 1%, I'll get 10. The challenge with that is, first of all, I'm not learning anything at all. Secondly, it's just draining. chances are if your process is not perfect and not efficient, it's going to be very draining. It's going to be very resource inefficient. What I offer you to do instead, it's a mindset shift, right? Everything you do, you need to go systematically. Meaning, if you make mistakes, the number one thing you need to do is to make sure you learn something from it. How we can change what we do in business. And it relates to anything, to sales, to marketing, to copywriting, to development, to team building, to coaching, whatever the business you provide, whatever the internal processes you have. What I want you to start thinking about is every time you fail, the question should be, what can I learn from this? Because in my experience, the worst, it seemingly like the worst things that happened to me in my lifetime or in my career, entrepreneurial journey, are actually the best things that happened to me. Because I learned so much from them, such huge lessons that just propelled me to the next level. Does it make sense? What is your approach with handling your mistakes, with handling failures in your business? Do you have a particular process, a checklist, any kind of a system that helps you get back, learn, and implement? Let me know in the comments. If you find this content helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up to boost an algorithm and just to let me know that you want to go with more of content like this. I'm currently interviewing people for my SaaS podcast, I call it SaaS Insiders, for people to learn more from experienced founders and venture capitalists on how this industry currently is working and how you can be a part of it. So make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel not to miss this very soon. Until next time, I'll see you in my next video.